guys. I'm so glad to have everybody back here today. And I've been excited about this day. This particular session, we've got a lot of really cool stuff to do. So I can't wait to get started. But the key information, the key chunk of information, I'm going to wait about 5 minutes to share that with you because I'm sure one or two people are going to come in late. And I want to make sure that everybody gets it because it's really important. We're about to have a big shift in our lives with today's call. So first I want to just talk a little bit about the homework of where we've come from in the last week. Last week, I spent so much time covering intuition. I feel I taught an entire intuition course in one class. It was way too much. It was like drinking from a fire hose. It was so much information. So I just blasted through it because I just had one time to do. I only have 1 week scheduled to actually teach intuition. But there were lots of exercises that I had gone over in the call, but all those exercises were recorded and provided for you as so that you could review them again. But I'm not going to overtly talk about intuition anymore because like I said, I covered a whole course in a call. But what I'm going to do is integrate the intuition exercises into some of the new exercises that are coming down the pike. So say you have like a journaling type of exercise. I will say, use this intuition exercise to do this journaling type exercise. So I'm always going to be pulling, and I'll be providing the link of the exercise so you won't be expected to remember it from last week, but the link will be provided. And if you did the homework this week, you already saw me trying to do that because intuition has to be there. It's just a backdrop, and everybody, of course, will benefit from improving their intuition. But why it's important is you're working very hard to manifest things in your life. Well, how are you going to know where your gift is waiting? Where's your pot of gold waiting? Well, your intuition is going to guide you to be in the right place at the right time to pick up your pot of gold, that which you were working on manifesting. So we want the intuition to continue to develop. So that's why I'll keep pulling those exercises back, like I'll merge them with the new exercises. And I also ask you to check in with your intuition whenever you can. Wherever you can, if you go to a restaurant and you look at the menu like most people do, and they look like have like menu shock. Yeah, I notice when people go and they look at a menu, they just kind of like their mouths kind of drop open and they just look kind of dazed because people have a really hard time tapping into their body's intuition just to hear from the body what it is it wants to eat. What does it need? What nutrition is it missing right now? So just going to the menu or going to a grocery store. The other time that I feel is really important to use intuition is when you're with a friend and a friend is telling you about something going on in their lives, a friend or a colleague or a family member, and they're like telling you whatever is going on. And sometimes you want to say the right thing. I would say use that time to not say the right thing until your intuition guides you what to say. So these little things in life, you can keep working on the intuition. I believe it's going to be really important. So I did want to mention that. And I have had some homework this week that was beginning to prepare you for the magical part of this course. And so the homework this week, if you were doing it, is starting to shift your mindset from me to we. Because when you start moving, in the beginning I was saying, do your vision board, do your focus wheel. It was me, 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 me. And that's a great thing. But magic lies when you start to enter into a group mindset. And as you intend for yourself, you intend for others, that you want for others. And I know there's certain religions that when you want as much for others, or if you're as happy for others as you are for yourself, when you have achievements, you're moving in the right direction. You're where you're at in your spiritual practice. You want to be in your spiritual practice. So I was little by little filtering some of that information in the homework to get you to start to move from the me to we mindset. And you'll see how that's going to play out because we'll have specific ways we're going to work with this new mindset that's going to really bring some magic into your lives. So nothing will ever be the same after today. Nothing. So that was just the, one other thing I want to mention that I always do. Every single week on the live call, I have tried to help you guys hone in to what you really want. We have those exercises on core desired emotions, core desired feelings, where we're really trying to tap into the emotions and energy of what we want to feel, as opposed to the tangible objects or the final outcome. So we've been doing that, what's called desire mapping. And desire mapping is a practice. It was created by Daniel Laporte. You can always look it up. You can do a whole course on desire mapping. But I've been trying to do one desire map exercise every week. And it's interesting, there's a real reason for us to do that. Is the number one question I have received since we started this course is, how do I figure out what I want? It's surprising that most people have no idea what they really, really want. And yeah, most people don't know. And so the desire mapping is, I like to do it every week so that you can constantly tap into the emotion you want. Because at the end of the day, you might think you want this, but it's actually the emotion or the energy that you want to experience and tap into, not necessarily the outcome you had visualized. So I do that every single week to help you get to know yourself a little bit better and to help you emerge to you. So you get to know yourself better and you understand what your true desires and what the desires are of your higher self. Well, normally I do it on every single call, but this time we have a really good desire mapping exercise. So I've decided to provide it at the end of the call so you can spend some good quality time with it. I have recorded I facilitated it. I'm facilitating the worksheet like I would normally do live here, but I've recorded it so that you'll get your homework at the end of the call and you can spend some quality time doing that desire mapping. I just want to let you know that that will always be there. Don't feel rushed to figure out what it is you really, really want. We'll work on that week after week, and it'll change as you go through this course. What you thought you wanted is maybe not what you really want anymore. It's something else. So I just wanted to say, look forward to that. And so those are the key pieces that I just want to let you know that you can always count on, is that we'll constantly be recycling the intuition exercises, and that we will every week help you again to further define what you want. So those are the consistent themes that will run through every week. So that's what I wanted to do this for now. Those are the few things I wanted to mention. And now I want to move into the main subject of today. So I keep mentioning that I base a lot of the information I know around intention based on the work of investigative journalist Lynne McTaggart. And many of you have heard the books, and some of you have even purchased them. Her first book that I read was The Field, although she edited, and you might have seen this magazine. She's the editor of a very good magazine that's been around for a long time. She's still the editor of it. It's called What Doctors Don't Tell You. It is truly one of the best health magazines because she's such a scientific journalist. She's very scientific. She works only with great scientists. She's a great researcher herself. And I've always used that magazine for really good quality information that I know, has been well researched, and there's always going to be good science around it. So that's Lynne McTaggart. She's been doing that magazine for years and years. And because she had such a strong connection with the scientific community, when she started trying to research the science of intention, she was a heavy hitter in the field of science as an investigative reporter, that she was able to tap into some of the greatest physicists and the greatest scientists when she said, I want to now investigate, as an investigative journalist, the science of intention. I want to know what works. What works. And I've said this again and again. I'm just giving you a little background again. So she wrote that first book called The Field. Now, The Field is a very scientific book about intention, and some of you might like something a little more fluffy. This isn't fluffy. This is hardcore science. Very, 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 it's a lot of quantum physics, but it's the quantum physics of intention. So that was the first book I read of hers. And then I read The Intention Experiment, which was a little more user-friendly. It was a little more practical. You could start to use the exercises. And then after The Intention Experiment came out, she created the website called The Intention Experiment. And every single week since like the early 2000s, every week or maybe it's every month since the early 2000s, her and the scientists put together an intention experiment, usually connected with something like world peace or cleaning up the environment, something that affected the world, violence, all kinds of things. And the science, they structured the experiments, and they measured the results, and they structured the groups. Anybody around the world could tune in at the right time and be a part of the experiment. And then the results were monitored. So you can say that she really is the world's leading expert on intention from a scientific perspective, but she has a very strong spiritual side too. And she, I believe it was around 2004 to 2005, as she said, she at that point was 20 years into this research, leading expert, and she found something, as she says, that turned everything she knew about intention upside down. And she couldn't believe what she found, and she didn't believe it. And as an investigative journalist, she kept researching it again and again and again and again to see if it was really, really real. And that's what today's class is about. So I am going to play a short interview with her explaining her findings, and enjoy listening. And I will see you on the other side of it. And we will begin to use her knowledge for our next intention experiment that we will do this afternoon. Well, this afternoon for us.
So let's talk about group intention, because this has really been the focus of my career in this area. It's been a focus of my fascination, and it's been a big discovery of mine. As I've explored it, the more I've explored it, the more I've found extraordinary things about the power of the group. That's the reason why I'm really encouraging to me weekly, because I am now convinced, and not only convinced, but I have seen extraordinary evidence to demonstrate that attending a group is some kind of amazing that actually supervises your intention. And it has a lot to do with group brainwave activity, which I'll talk about shortly. It has a lot to do with altruism. It has a lot to do with getting off of yourself. I mean, and that's probably my biggest and most unusual message, I think, in this area. Because, of course, we're all in the self-help area, right? Self-help, personal development. It's all about the self. And I found, actually, as soon as you get off of the self, things start happening. So I'm kind of not the self-help movement. I'm the other help movement, I think. And that have become more convinced of, and my book, as I say, The Power of Eight, really covers now, is it's really looked into the power of group thought, because I've been as amazed as anybody. Now, you probably know I've been running intention experiments since 2007. And the main reason I decided to do this was because in my heart I'm actually a doubting Thomas. You know, when I heard about law of attraction and, you know, the power of intention and all of this, back in 2005, after I'd written The Field, there had been this, you know, obvious evidence in the laboratory that, and in a lot of the work of all of the scientists I wrote about, that demonstrates that thoughts are an actual something with the capacity to change physical matter. And I thought to myself, okay, if thoughts are so powerful, what can you do with them? You know, we were hearing about all of the stuff about, you know, intention and manifestation, and I, you know, being the whole hard-nosed journo that I am, I kept saying to myself, yeah, right, okay. So what can you do with this? You know, besides manifesting a parking space, you know, I had a lot of inconvenient questions. How powerful is this? You know, can you do anything really meaningful? Everybody's talking about getting more stuff. What about curing cancer? What about doing all of the really important things that need to be done in the planet? And then I had another big question. What if lots of people are intending at the same time? Does it magnify the effect? And so being the little doubting Thomas I was, I decided I'm going to test this to the limit. I'm going to create a giant intention experiment where I involve the scientists I know from doing the field, and I involve my readers who by then my books are in 30 languages, so I had lots of readers around the world. I thought, well, if I put that all together, I'll have the biggest global laboratory in the world. And so that's what I did. And we started with very small. We started with Gary Schwartz sending intention to try to change the little light emissions that come out of a leaf. A very, very simple experiment. And it worked. And in fact, all of them worked. And we started moving up from leaves to trying to make seeds grow faster, to trying to make water, change properties of water, change pH, etc., to lowering violence in war-torn areas. And as I say, out of the 30 I think there are, 27 showed significant positive effect. In most cases, they were blinded experiments. In every instance, I had a scientific person or team analyze the results. And in every instance, it blew all of our minds. So that was pretty interesting to me. It worked more than I even thought it was going to work. But that wasn't what was really interesting about it all. What was really interesting about it was that the biggest effect was on the intenders themselves. I decided from about 2008 I was going to survey the participants just to find out what happened. You know, did they, and mainly I started doing that just to find out whether they were able to log on to my website, because when I first started doing this, we started doing it on a regular old website, and there were so many people. I think at the first experiment we had about 11,000, 12,000 people trying to get in the front door of the website at the same moment. Website crashed. So we realized we had to do it different ways. And we did, and we used bigger servers and all sorts of things, which we had to do way back then. Now we can do lots of other things. Now you can just do it live on Facebook, to be honest, which I've done a few times. I'm going to be doing some more of that. But at the time, that's what we had to do. And I decided to survey them, my participants, to find out if they'd been able to get on the website, et cetera, et cetera. And back came, I asked them a few questions about how it was for them. And back came amazing, amazing answers. I felt like I was hooked up to a higher network. I felt like I was on a beam of Star Trek. I felt I was crying and sobbing uncontrollably. I got chills down my spine. You know, on and on, thousands of these kinds of responses. So I said to myself, what the heck is going on here? But also, I found some other things that were really, really interesting. That when people participated in one of my big intention experiments, whatever they were intending for had a kind of mirror effect on them. So when we did peace intention experiments with Sri Lanka, for instance, and we had a pretty amazing effect. Violence went down, I think the killings went down about 48%, and injuries down something like 70-something%. But that wasn't even the interesting thing that happened. What happened was the war, which had been this very intractable 25-year war, a few months later, the government took over the north, and a few months after that, the war was over. And when they looked back, they found that the most decisive week that turned around the course of the war, because the government had been losing before then, was the very week of our intention. The very week of our intention, because it was a week-long intention. So that was amazing. But what was even more amazing was what happened to the participants. Aside from this moment of almost ecstatic oneness that they were describing, they also started describing amazing healings in their own lives. They talked about life being much more peaceful for themselves. They were getting along with people better. They were resolving problems that had been areas of conflict. They were hugging strangers. I mean, it was just extraordinary. And I went to myself, what on earth is going on here? You know, as my 20-year-old daughter always says, WTF. Well, it was WTF, what the bleep, was going on here. And so I've looked into this a lot over the years. I've been fascinated by this because it's occurred over and over and over again. At about the same time I was doing this with the big experiments, I started experimenting with the power of 8. And as I mentioned earlier, this started out in a workshop of mine in 2008, when I just decided, let's put people in small groups, have them send a healing intention as one to one of the people in the group, and see what happens. So that's what we did, and I thought, oh, it'll be kind of like a facial, a feel-good feeling. They'll feel like that'll be nice. So we did that on a Saturday with our first workshop. And then we asked everybody to come back Sunday. And the people who had been the targets of their groups, you know, who had some sort of health condition, they were to come up and say what happened. Well, it was pretty amazing. You know, we had a woman with a lifelong migraines who suddenly said, my head doesn't hurt anymore, with somebody else with arthritis who was, you know, suddenly able to walk normally. We had at one point a woman who had cataracts who said her vision had come back by about 80%. You know, and on and on and on. And every time I did these kind of workshops around the world, I would have the same thing, on and on and on. We had, you know, recently, just in Miami, I had a guy who couldn't move his hand. He had a real big problem in his hand, and suddenly, and he had put a brace on it. And the next day he came up in front of the class and said, look, I can move my hand normally. Another woman whose spine was hurting all the time, completely gone. So I was pretty blown away by this, both the effects on the participants in my intention experiments and the effect on everybody in the Power of 8 groups. And I also found there was a lot of mirrored healing among the participants too, sending the intention. Sometimes if they had a similar condition, their condition was resolving too. But I was actually very unnerved by this for many years because I'm not a healer. I've never purported to be a healer. I'm a doubting Thomas. I'm a hard-nosed journalist at my heart. And this was unsettling to me because I couldn't explain it. And that's why it's taken me 10 years to write The Power of 8, because I didn't want to write about it. I wasn't sure I believed it. I didn't know what to make of it until I dissected it. And I found over the years I kept coming back to the power of groups and looking at them and looking at the feeling of oneness that goes on here. And I even recently put this to the test. We had Life University, which is the largest chiropractic university in the world, offered to do tests on our Power of 8 groups. And they found something really amazing. They found that when people are doing intention in a group together, same intention, they create basically a hyperbrain. Their brains all start working in synchrony, but even more interesting, the sense of self, all of the areas of the brain that distinguish us from the rest of the world start turning down. Now you see a very similar brain signature with Sufi masters. You see the same brain signature with Buddhist monks. But unlike those situations, our people who are basically in an altered state of consciousness when they're doing this, almost something with a brain signature akin to people undergoing an experience of enlightenment, or as the Course of Miracles calls it, the holy instant. Unlike all of them, you don't need years of practice and discipline and denial and sacrifice and, putting your head between your knees or going into a sweat lodge or any of those things. You can get there almost instantaneously with the power of a group. And that was what was amazing to me. We did 7 studies and we found brainwave situations with total novice people. People had never done this before, only had a little instruction from me over and over and over again. The other thing I found when people were participating in these large intention experiments, they weren't just healing their relationships, they were healing their lives. They were rediscovering different life purposes. Their bodies were getting better. If they had issues, they were getting better. And so again, I was freaked out by this. I thought, wait a minute, this can't be right. And I surveyed them again and again and again because I didn't believe it. And I discovered over and over and over again a pattern. When people got off of themselves, this is the most important thing that I can tell you today. When people got off of themselves, their lives started healing. And it really started making sense to me when I started looking into the power of groups, the power of working for something larger, and the power of altruism to change your life. And over again, and something I am going to be talking to you and setting with you as challenges this year is get off of yourself. Send an intention to somebody else. I know you have intentions. You want to achieve those goals. That's why you signed out for this course. Trust me, get off of yourself and things are going to start happening to you.
Okay. It's really fascinating. It's really fascinating, and our journey with this will begin today. You'll begin to experiment with it, and we will continue to experiment in different ways of doing groups. We want to jump right in, and actually the intention groups that they have, as they call it, they do Power of 8 groups. You can still join a Power of 8 group anywhere in the world. You can go to her website and she gives information how to join a Power of 8 group in your local area. They have a Facebook page, and she does encourage people to try to work within the same time zone, so it's just easier to manage. And so if you go to the Facebook page of the Power of 8 groups, there's always people saying, I'm in such and such place, anybody here, any groups out here? And they're trying to match each other. So for sure you could jump into a Power of 8 group at some point, whether you want to do it now or you want to start, we'll make some of our own groups here. We'll have our own way of doing it for the rest of the course. But you may even want to just jump in with them if you have the time and you have somebody in your area. The way their Power of 8 groups work is they meet on Zoom. And they meet, there's zillions of them all over the world. And they meet every week, say a Sunday night, for about 20 minutes. They try to make it simple, easy, and repeatable and doable week after week. So it's possible you can join a Power of 8 group. I will say that I have, in studying her research and taking a course with her, I have found that frequency is very beneficial. So if you like, well, I can get involved with the Phuket Cleanse group, intention group. I can join a Power of 8, maybe do it twice a week. No need, but if you are that type of person who likes to experiment and do good things for yourself and others, you might do 2 groups a week. And as I said, the research, and as you can hear, she's a very serious researcher. I have plans of how we can make this simple and doable and a part of your life going forward. But for today, we're going to do our first group intention. The way it's going to be structured is we're going to use the Soma meditation breath work that we did 2 weeks ago. I got so many requests to do it again. and you're already a bit familiar and comfortable with it. So this is a good breathwork technique to use. Now, when if you go join a Power of 8 group and you're there the first day all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, hey, I'm here for the Power of 8 group. Where's the breathwork? Where's the soma? Where's the cool music? It won't be that way. It's very simple. They do a few deep breaths. You you decide who you're sending an intention to, and that's the way you do it. But this is Phuket Cleanse. Everything's go big or go home. So we're going to do it, Phuket Cleanse style, but it'll be a lot simpler and when you get involved in a Power of 8 group. And we will also create a way of working in groups going forward. But today is the launch of this new technique that we all are going to have in our toolkit. So somebody asked a question, but I'm gonna address that a bit later. It's a very good question. It was actually, well, maybe I'll let, the question was, is anybody else doing such group intention work? And I didn't know if they meant anybody within this group or anybody in the world or anybody besides the Lynn McTaggart group. And it was Dr. Omar that asked the question. So maybe we'll unmute Omar and see if I can answer the question or understand the question a little bit better. In the world. Oh, that's a very good question. Okay, well, not like Lynn McTaggart, no. I mean, not that I know of. There may be some underground groups. I've been involved in a few big group of meditators around the world that would have a one-off here and there, but not as organized as the Lynn McTaggart group. It's very organized. As you can hear, she's a very organized person and she's got a pretty good system. But it's easy to jump in with her. She has a weekly COVID call where she gets all of her followers from all of her books, people around the world who follow her. They meet every single Wednesday. And it's really, for you, Dr. Omar, it's good because it's more catered toward North American time. But that's something that she does every single Wednesday. If you go to her website, you can join that. She also on her website has the intention experiment page still, that intention experiment where they do a monthly intention experiment to maybe treat a war zone or some different issues. You can join the monthly intention experiments. But I have a feeling this may be one of the coolest ones because we're going to have funky music, funky meditation, and all kinds of funky stuff. So this might be one of the coolest large intention setting groups. That's my little intention here. So for today, let me explain the process that we're going to go through. So you will end up in a breakout group. All the breakout groups will be 3 people, except one breakout group might be 4. So you're going to get in the breakout group. We're going to put you all in a room, in your breakout room, and you'll have 15 minutes. I'm going to have to ask you to manage your time so that everybody has a chance to just introduce themselves. I'm so-and-so, just say a few words about yourself, and share an intention that you would like your group to support you with, to send a little energy your way on. And as you're listening, if you're listening to somebody say, my name's Melanie, and I would like, the intention I would like to get some support on is blah, blah, blah. You're going to write down what that person says because you're going to need it later when we do the intention work. So when you meet your partners, you should get their name and write down the intention that they want some support with. Because your job will be to visualize it and say the intention in your head when you're actually giving them some energy, when you're working with them. Now, it's really important, you've all learned this in this course, specificity, that word I've been trying to say since the first day of the course, matters. So it's a good idea when you're introducing your intention, if you give who, what, where, when, why, how, you can just give as much detail of how you'd like your intention to look. And when you're writing this down, when you're listening to your partners telling you how they want their intention to look and giving you all the details, write that down, because when you're sending an intention to your partner, you're going to visualize that experience on behalf of your partner, and you're going to send energy to it. So you're sort of the investigative reporters at that point. So again, I'll repeat again, we got this little breakout room intention work file that I've got in front of you. Step 1, each person in the group take 2 minutes to introduce yourself, share something about your intention. There's going to be you need to designate who is partner A, who is partner B, who is partner C. So somebody say, oh, I'll be partner A. Another person say, I'll be partner B. Another person say, I'll be partner C. You need to know your letter, because when I do this big group ceremony, I'm going to call out, everybody send energy to partner A from their group. So you're going to have to also list not just your partner's name, but their letter, okay? So this is pretty easy. Just gonna have to, as I'm giving you these instructions, kind of visualize this process happening. It will help you to remember better, but luckily you're gonna be working in a group. So if one person doesn't get it, somebody else in the group should get it. So you're gonna decide who is partner A, who is partner B, who is partner C, as this will be needed later for the work. And then 3, intentions. Each of you share an intention with great specificity. Add who, what, where, when, and why in the description of the intention. It doesn't have to be your most personal intention. It can be just an area of your life where you would like some healing or support. So you might say, gosh, I've had this backache. Or you could say, I've had this terrible job. Or I've had this terrible boyfriend. Or I've had this great boyfriend. I just want to get married to him. You know, whatever you want to play with is fine. It doesn't, choose whatever that you are comfortable sharing. And let me tell you something. I bet some of you have the fear you might cry, because I want to tell you, this is a vulnerable time for everybody. And so many of you guys are reaching out to me, dealing with lots of emotional situations. And I just want to say to everybody, you're in good company. If you burst out crying, everybody at this time is going to understand. I think you could pretty much burst out crying anywhere in the world right now, and everyone will have your back, because we're all in this together. But this group especially is vulnerable and going through their own things. So if you get teary, that's okay. That's okay. Feel good about it. And the group will further bond with you. And as she mentioned, getting into the we mindset is what's important here. So your group is just going to jump and support you like a group of angels if you get a little teary. So don't worry that you're going to totally lose it. I've lost it multiple times in these live calls. So listen, then part 4, listen and write. The other partners listen to the intention and write it down, labeling it as partner A, partner B, or partner C, and also put the name, so you can put a name to a face. So they can use this during the description, during the group intention ceremony. So I will be leading the group intention ceremony later. Your job is, as I said, to be like the investigative reporter and get the information on how you can support your partners through your visualization and intention skills. Now, I have some really exciting news, and we are going to have a chance to just warm up a little bit, raise our energy a little bit. I'm going to give everybody a break, so if anybody has to go to the bathroom, that's fine. But during this break, we have a very special event. We are going to do some movement exercise with Jenny. So some of you might remember Jenny as a yoga teacher. Jenny, can you wave? Jenny's sitting right in the middle of us right here. Now, Jenny is really into something called dynamic meditation, and I am too. So dynamic meditation was created by one of these Indian gurus, and he basically had created a movement meditation because he said beginning meditators are the last people you want to go telling us to sit on a mat and think of nothing. If you got beginning meditators, you need to get their butts up and have them move and shake and get themselves out of their head. Now, I know that sounds crazy, and I know already you're like, I am not going on camera in front of all these people shaking. No problem. Jenny's going to go on camera and shake in front of all of you. You can turn your camera off and just shake it out. You're going to feel real good from it, but there's a point to this. We're not just trying to be weird hippies over here. We've got a point here. I mean, you're welcome to shake wildly on the screen, but again, we understand. Believe me, I'm going to be shaking, but I'm turning my video off. Nobody's going to watch me shake. And when we do it live, we usually have it we're usually blindfolded so that nobody can see each other shaking. So this is called dynamic meditation. And you might think, well, how am I supposed to think of nothing? And how am I supposed to meditate if I'm shaking all over the place? Well, there's a very interesting thing. I'm going to give you instructions on how you approach this meditation. It's kind of like, imagine that you are going to this shaking meditation, but you're actually playing a video game, because it's really going to be like that. I'd like you to have your eyes closed. If you can have a blindfold, maybe close the door so anybody walking by in your house doesn't think you're completely mad. But if you could put your blindfold off and move aside a little furniture so you don't fall down on something. But basically, you're going to be shaking. And when you're shaking, really kind of disorients you. If you're shaking with your eyes closed or blindfolded, you get a bit disoriented. And so the logical mind is like, well, I want to overthink this thing. Oh, I want to think about thoughts. Oh, let me think about thoughts. But you're just kind of disoriented, which is perfect. This is a great time for you to really meditate, because the logical mind is completely off balance. Now, what's going to happen? I guarantee you'll start finding a thought like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. I don't know if I like this. I think Jenny's completely crazy. No, Mel's crazier. What are they thinking? I didn't sign up to be shaken alone in a house. Oh, what about that thing I got to do today? Oh my God, what about money? I got to pay this bill. Like, shit, I was going to use a bad word. Stuff's going to come up. Stuff is going to come up. And I want you to look at this like a video game. Imagine you're in this video game, and I say, you're in this video game, and while you're shaking and just moving your body, moving your body, things are going to jump out at you and try to get you to run away with it. Those are thoughts. Thoughts are going to come and jump out at you, and the only rule of the game is not to attach the thought and go run with it. Now, sometimes you can look at the thought, and then you can dance on by, you can shake on by. You want to just like see the thought, but not attach to it. Now, if you will sometimes screw up in the game and you will attach to the thought, and you might start to run a little off with it, you just don't want to run completely off with the thought. You want to maybe, if you see yourself attaching to a thought and starting to run away, you won't even realize you're doing it. Your job is to shake, keep shaking harder, breathe deeper, and detach from the thought and let it go away. And you go back to shaking, wow, I feel great. And then another thought's going to jump out and get you. And there's going to be moments where you will run off with thoughts, just come back. There's moments you're going to get irritated. There's moments you're going to get mad. And when you get irritated, you're like, well, I'm irritated. This isn't a thought. I'm just pissed off. I don't like this. It's stupid. That's a thought. That's one of those demons that are jumping out in the game trying to get you to run away with it. Your job is to stay centered and become the breath. Just become the breath. Lose your mind, lose your mind, lose your mind. When the thought comes, just look at it. If you attach, don't run too far. Come right back. Lose your mind, lose your mind. Get pissed off. That's okay. Don't run away with getting pissed off. Come back to center. Now, why are we doing this? This is going to just warm you up. It's going to clear the mind. You're going to move a lot of stuck energy before we get in and do some of this intention work. And it's going to also make you feel kind of giddy when you get in those breakout rooms with all these strangers telling them personal stuff. So you're going to be like, don't mind telling you my personal stuff, and I don't feel tense about being in this breakout room because I just shake wildly in my living room with a blindfold on. Pretty much can do anything now. So it's a really great mental warm-up and physical warm-up for everything. And Jenny's going to lead you. And so she's going to explain the process. So maybe you could just take a moment if you need to do whatever, if you need to run to the bathroom, you need to grab a blindfold, if you need to turn your video off, and Jenny will come on the screen in about, I'd say, maybe 3 minutes just to get you resituated, and then Jenny will come on the screen and start to give instructions. And and then we'll come and rescue you after the end of the shaking and bring you back to the intention room where we're going to do some magic.
Mel, I just wanted to remind everybody that there may be the join a breakout room that comes up on your screen during this, and just ignore that. Don't join the breakout room until Mel brings everybody back.
Yeah, because we'll be setting up the breakout rooms while you guys are shaking. So just ignore anything that comes on the screen. You should be blindfolded anyway and shouldn't see anything. Okay, have fun with that. I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so yeah, we're back here. Jenny's over there in front of her place, looking great, looking svelte like usual. And I just want to tell you something. You're going to go through this process. You can probably see my screen now. Can they see my screen? No. Okay, so do you see on your screen, you got 3 little dots? You got 3 little, like when you go to the right, top right of the screen, and 3 little, oh, sorry, go to the top. Go to somebody's picture. Go to Jenny's picture and kind of mouse over her picture, and 3 little dots will be there. So go to Jenny's picture and see the 3 little dots that come up, and then there'll be a drop down bar that's and one of the things will say pin video. Go ahead and pin Jenny's video so you can see her big on the screen. This way you can kind of watch her as she's demonstrating this. And she's a brave soul. I don't know. I would not have the guts to be standing up there half naked, shaking. But I don't have her abs either.
Hi, everyone. I think I've met most of you at Phuket Cleanse. I don't know why I've agreed to this, but anyway, here we are. Okay, so I just want to tell you, usually this would be an hour's meditation. So usually you would do 15 minutes of shaking, followed by 15 minutes of dancing, followed by 15 minutes of either standing or sitting, and then 15 minutes of lying down. We're going to do a very compressed version. So we're only going to do 6 minutes in total. So it'll be 3 minutes of shaking and 3 minutes of dancing. Okay. So what I want to just explain to you, when the music starts, it's just going to be one song. It's a 6-minute song. And when the song starts, it's not like ready, steady, go, start shaking. You want to like really ground yourself. And you almost want to allow the shaking to happen. So initially you start off just like really feel into the music. And then it's almost like the music moves you to shake. Does that make sense? It's best not to have music with lyrics or there are a few lyrics in the song, but it's almost better to not to have music that you have memories attached to, or history with, or something where you want to sing along. So it's much better to kind of, you just really want to like lose yourself in the music. Okay. So today what we're going to do, as I said, 3 minutes of shaking, 3 minutes of dancing. And then at the end of that, I'll just sort of say, okay, and we'll stop everything. I'll ask, Rita's going to play the music from her side. And then let's just take a minute at the end just to really feel. So this is just, it's like almost like a little bite-sized piece, just to give you an experience or taste of what this dynamic meditation can do. And the reason that we're doing it today is just to really shift just stagnant energy in the body. Okay, so for the first 3 minutes, we'll shake. And then for the last 3 minutes, we'll dance. Okay. Now, if you have got a blindfold, these are amazing, mindfold. So I'm going to put them on because this is so cringeworthy. I won't ever actually be able to watch this. And preferably, if you could also just give this a go and not just sit there watching me do it. So I'm going to pull this I'm going to pull this out now, and then so that I can hear the music. And also for me, I like to, you can't see it just because my feet aren't in it, but I actually like to put my yoga mat down. And the reason for that is I don't want to completely lose it. I want to kind of keep my bearings. I'm not sure what sort of dancing you're into, but the idea is that we're just shifting and moving energy around in the body. All right, so we're all ready to give it a go. If you have got a yoga mat, get it out. And yeah, if you have got a blindfold, and also it's not like specific dance moves. So, you know, I'm going to move totally differently to you. It's all about feeling the vibration in your own body. And the reason we're doing it is just so that we can get over our Zoom phobia, shall we say, and also breaking into groups, which can sometimes be a little bit daunting. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out, and Rita's going to get the song ready. So you've got, let's say, I don't know, a minute or so. Just take a moment, everyone. Hopefully, with your blindfolds on, just bring your hands to your heart. Allow your thumbs to rest against your heart center. And just really feel right now. We'll take 30 seconds to a minute just to really feel into your body and the effect that that has had on your body. So I hope you all got a little, I don't know if you can hear me without the mic on, but I hope you all just got a little taste of that. Hopefully you felt really disorientated, and it is just a way to completely shift, move, and clear energy. All right. So at this stage, you're hopefully feeling a lot more relaxed and ready to tackle these breakout groups. All right. See you on the other side. Are you guys ready? All right.
Hey guys, we're just in the process of organizing these breakout groups. They are almost organized, and before you know it, you will be swiftly moving into a breakout group and sitting with 3 or 4 people. So just remember, have your pen and paper ready so that you can take notes with your partner's name. If they're partner A, B, or C, you guys will have to decide in a group who's going to be partner A, who's going to be partner B, who's going to be partner C. Be ready to just introduce yourself, maybe say where you're from. And remember to state your intention with great specificity. And what I suggest, just as a learning tool, is as your partner is telling you his or her intention, why don't you visualize as they talk? So this will really help you to begin to remember what each person wants. It'll help you bond, and it'll be good for you to remember what each person wants. So as they are speaking and saying, yeah, I want this, this, and this, start to create the movie in your mind. And I know all of you can do it. And this is a good little memory technique. It'll be easy for you. And then when you're actually creating a movie in your mind, you can even ask questions, because you're going to need to sometimes fill in the blank. Like, oh, where do you want this to happen? When do you want it to happen? Oh, you want money? How much money do you want? So those kind of things, as you're creating this mind movie, as your partner describes what intention they have, you're going to be needing to fill in the blanks of your mind movie, because they'll forget to say certain things, and you can ask these questions, and it will help your partner too to clarify his or her intention. So here we go. We're going to start moving you into the group in the rooms. We're about to do Soma, and we have 4 rounds, I should say 4 sets of breathing. So if you guys remember Soma from last time, we did like into, can everybody hear me now still? Yeah. Yeah. So we did in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. That's 1 round. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. That's 2. Those rounds happen 30 times. And then we do a breath hold. So I think a lot of you guys remember doing that. We did 30 rounds of breathing, and then we did the breath hold. So we had this beautiful plan that we'll all visualize the intention for partner A on round 1, and we'll all visualize the intention for partner B on round 2. We'll all visualize the intention for partner C on round 3. And if there's groups of 4, we'll visualize on round 4 for partner D. So anyway, you know it's not going to work out just like that. If you are in a group of 2, you just take turns. So the first, so if you have 2 in your group, I'll say visualize for partner A. And then when we do the next set, I'll say visualize for partner B. And if you're a group of 2, go back to partner A on the 3rd set. I think you guys can kind of figure it out. I'll give instructions along the way. And if you are in a group of 3, round 1, I'll say visualize for partner A. Round 2, or set 2, I'll say visualize for partner B, visualize for partner C. Getting ready to start the breathing process. You're simply going to breathe into the count. You'll be breathing in for 4 and exhaling for 4. Just a continuous cycle of breathing in for 4, moving the belly out, moving the ribs out as you're going to start breathing. You're going to be pushing the belly out. Ribs going out side to side, side breathing and belly breathing for count of 4 and exhaling. Pulling diaphragm in and up as you exhale.
That's right. 2, 3, 4. Keep connecting. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in light. Out. Breathe out to sacred sound. In. Projecting your intention. Out to the universe. In. Imagining with every breath in and out. Drawing in light all the way through the nostrils into your brain, sending a circuit, golden white light all the way around your body.
Breathing.
Complete circuit. Out. 2. Turning on your inner magnetism. 2, 3. Your creative potential. Out.
Breathe for your partner.
Using sexual energy by squeezing the Mula Bandha, root chakra to pelvic floor muscles. With every inhale, slightly, and releasing and letting go into the sacred sound, setting off a vibration of good feelings on your exhale. That's right. 3, 4. Out. 2. Breathe in light.
Breathing for your partner.
Breathe
and
out.
sending the visualization out into the
Breathe in
universe.
light. Breathe out.
Sending the
loud.
visualization of your partner's manifestation.
In.
Taking more energy through your body on behalf of your partner and breathing that energy into the manifestation, visualizing on behalf of your partner. Visualize the partner A.
Out. Slow, smooth, consistent, and connected.
Losing yourself and moving out that energy.
Circular, cyclical, connected rhythms. Connected to the groove. Out. Tuned to the rhythm of life. That's right. In. 2, 3. This is your time to connect with your higher power, your higher self. Channel, awaken the lights, the life force, creative power, prana, the energy of the universe into every single cell, track your being, the soma, one body to one mind, to love, to heal, in, 2, 3, out, to create.
Know that you are helping your partner to manifest. Your partner A. Visualizing with the specificity that your partner shared with you. Turning up the lights of the visualization. Turning up the sound of the visualization. turning up the senses, temperature, the air, as if it's happening, as if you're a creator, helping to create. And as you take this energy in, you are healing yourself too. Bringing the energy up the spine, all the way to the third eye, to the middle of the head, pinching the pineal gland, energizing your own mind, your own brain.
Fully in and fully out. Let go the sacred sound.
Pushing all the air out, all the air out, all the air out, pushing out more, and doing an exhale breath hold, holding on the exhale, going past your comfort zone.
And hold your breath.
Your mind doesn't need to be on
Go
anything.
into your breath retention.
And some of you will be feeling a need to take a breath, and you can take a sip of air to see if you can hold it longer, or just take that magnificent breath as if you're coming up from the bottom of the swimming pool or the bottom of the ocean. Some of you are still holding your breath, and some of you have already taken an inhale. If you've taken an inhale, just sit comfortably on the other side of the inhale, just relaxing until you're ready to do another exhale breath hold. And if you're ready to do your second round, do a few pumps of breathing, reoxygenate yourself, and then do another fully out, pushing out all the air, every last bit, letting it all go, letting it all go, letting it all go. And when you're ready, just sit and hold as long as you can, going past your comfort zone. And when you can't hold it anymore, take another sip of air to see if you can get it a little longer before you take a gasping inhale. It's when you take that gasping inhale, you just feel that moment of peace, and you can sit in that peace, just feeling good. And you can then continue for another round, reoxygenating yourself by taking a few pumping breaths, and then do another full, complete exhale, another exhale breath hold. Holding as long as you can, holding it longer and longer until you can't take it anymore, and then you'll do another one of those gasping inhales like you'd come up from the swimming pool. So everybody's at a different place now. Some are in breath holds, some of them are just taking an inhale, some of them are just sitting, some of you are sitting in the peace after the inhale. Continue as
In, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3.
And now we will begin to intend for our next partner who is in our group,
Out, 2.
your partner B in the group,
In, 2, 3.
bringing the energy on behalf of your partner, building energy
In,
through your body, taking a lot of energy through the system, losing yourself, becoming the breath, taking energy in on behalf of your partner B. As you receive healing, as you move the energy through you, so does your partner B is receiving this energy as you are sending this energy to your partner B. Collecting energy before you start to visualize on your behalf of your partner B. And you can say partner B's intention in your mind, using your inner voice, and visualize it at the same time, continuing to breathe life into your partner's visualization.
Breathe in light. Breathe out love. That's right. Breathe in the light. Breathe out love. That's right. Connect to the groove. Connect to the breath. The rhythm of life.
Turning it, taking in more energy for your partner's visualization.
Connect deeply to your higher self, your higher power through the breath.
Asking your higher self to aid
Waking
and
up.
assist you.
The treasure house that lies within your heart. Your connection to the universe and everything in it. Your source of deep intuition, insight, love. Breathe in light. Out, love, that's all.
Sending the energy to your partner, turning up the lights, the colors, the magnificence of your visualization, feeling yourself heal at the same time.
right.
Pushing all the air out. Beginning to hold, being in that exhale breath hold. Going a little further this time as you are
Hold
fully
your breath.
oxygenated.
Hold your breath retention.
Remember, when you take a breath, it's like a gasping inhale. And just sit in that peace.
You are connected to the divine white light, your higher self. Witness the light. Feel its bliss penetrating every single cell of the soul, the body, the
And when
mind.
you're ready, you can repeat,
One consciousness, one spirit.
doing another round or a few more rounds. So some of you are in
The
exhale
heart
breath
of your
hold.
soul.
Some of you are just taking a gasping inhale. And some of you are sitting in the peace on the other side of that gasping inhale. Some of you are pumping up your belly, breathing in more air to be reoxygenated so you can do another round of the same process. Repeat as many rounds as you can. Keep doing more rounds. The deeper you will go. Getting ready. So you start intending for your partner C. If you have a partner C in your group, there's just 2 in your group. You can then start to intend for somebody in your own life, a loved one, a friend, or people, a village, a town, a nation, a tribe. You can intend for hospital workers and relief workers and rescue workers and doctors and nurses. So you can breathe and intend on behalf of people who are not well and who are crying out in the dark for some relief, for some healing from pain. You can intend for anybody you like, but if you have a partner C, it would now be the time for everybody in that group to intend for their partner C when you start the next cycle of breathing. in. Up the light and the magnificence and all the details of the visualization that you are visualizing on behalf of your partner C, if you have a partner C, or behalf of those who are intended for if you don't have a partner C. Turn up the magnificence, take in more energy. Because as you take in more energy, you are healing them. You are sharing with them more energy. Be greedy. As you heal them, heal their lives, and heal thyself. heart space now.
Breathe into your heart. Sacred life force. Connect with your highest power and truth. Now fully in
Energy all the way up.
and fully out.
Listen yourself in the exhale breath hold this time. Going past your comfort zone.
Now go into your breath retention.
If you need to take a breath to hold a little bit longer, take a few sips of air and see if it allows you to hold the breath a little bit longer. Some of you are taking that magnificent gasping inhale and just enjoy the peace. Second round of exhale, breath hold. Some of you are already in the third round. Just keep doing a few rounds, as this is a treatment, this is a therapy. Exhale, breath hold. Some of you are taking a gasping inhale. Some of you are in the peace on the other side of it. Some of you are pumping in more oxygen so that you can go into that next breath hold. Have a partner D in your group.
Now we prepare for a faster rhythm. You can use your mouth to suck in the air. Like that. Letting a sigh of good feelings on your exhale. That's right.
If you have a partner D, it's time to
Building up that energy, the psychic potential.
Visualize and intend to have a partner D. If you don't have a partner D or G, you can go back to intending perhaps for a place in the world that needs some healing now. People in the world that need healing. Intending on behalf of the world that you'd like to see. Breathing in a new world. Maybe it's time for you to do a little bit of self-care, forgiving yourself, breathing for healing of forgiveness in areas where you may have shame or doubt. If you're breathing on behalf of partners, begin to stay with your intention centered from your head. Visualize your partner's dream, intention, breathing light, color, action, movement, sound, drama, excitement, emotion into your partner's intention. behalf, somebody you love, somebody you're concerned about, or a group of people. Bring more life, make it more vivid, see the visualization, state the intention statement in your head with great specificity. Put in the who, what, where, when, and why, and how. Make it more specific, make it more visual, make it more emotional, make it a little louder, a little more exciting, more emotion, more sensations, more feeling. You are birthing in a new world for somebody or some people, or maybe for yourself, for your loved ones. Bring it in. You are writing your reality and creating it with every breath. Feel free to move. You want to keep your blindfold on and just move with your eyes closed. Moving energy and intention. Moving and moving. From the light, from the universe. You are the universe, you are everything. You can feel that now. You can move your arms in and out, your hands in and out, keeping your hands wide, just feeling the energy around you, baby. Feel the energy around you, and you can send it with your hands. You can push it this way, that way, towards the one you're imagining.
Faster, faster. Wake it up. Wake it up. Serpentine. This is it. Build it up. The ecstasy. Energy. The drive, the motivation to achieve anything. To attract the perfect reality. This is it. Connect to your higher power. Wake it up. Faster, harder, deeper, that's right. Turning up the brightness, the intensity of the white light. This is it. Now fully in. And let go. as it transmits into your aura. Lighting up the soma, illuminating the spirits within. You have become the soma, one body, one mind. This is your awakening to your higher self, the higher power.
You can feel really good about your work today. This is your new life as the healer, the intention sender, the one who makes the world a better place. Every day will be different from here. It's a new beginning, a new life. So much to be excited about. We welcome you back whenever you feel ready. We know this is a very intense session, so just take your time. And you don't necessarily have to come back onto the screen if you don't want to. Some of you might really be going through it. Some of you may have some tears. You can just bring yourself back. And I suggest if you feel a little energy at all to ground any kind of insights or thoughts. We sent you out deep into the furthest reaches of your higher self, deep into the furthest reaches of your potential and into the universe. So you really expanded, and the energy is fast-moving energy that's quite fleeting. And this is where I suggest you take a moment to ground any insights that it may have come to you, thoughts, realizations, aha moments, by just writing it down or grabbing your phone and recording, because some magnificence definitely occurred, but you want to take the gifts that you encountered along the way. So I suggest you ground this information. And we just give you time for that. And if anybody needs to share anything with me over the coming days, if you have questions, if anything came up, concerns, exciting moments, I will help you to ground this information. As I feel this is really an important purpose and mission for me going forward, is to help you to ground things as we take you into higher and higher states. I want to help you to hold on to these things. It can be your human tape recorder or your whatever you want me to be. Nothing's too weird, believe me. Thank you. And if you had any discomfort, such as some of the tingling that may come in the hands or the stiffness, any breathing related questions that you're wondering about, or physiological issues that may have come up, or good things that might have come up, any overwhelming feelings, you could always send that to Rita. Rita's really the breathing expert. If you have some questions or concerns or comments about the breath work itself and what's right for you. And if you want to ramble back and forth with me about any old thing, you can, again, you can use me as a tape recorder, a punching bag, anything you want. I'm here for all of you. And there's there's nothing I would rather do. Pretty much every moment of my life, I just wait to be of support and help people in this process. And it's a great honor. Okay, well, I will leave you to whatever grounding technique you may be engaged in at this point. Rita does have some breath work at 6 o'clock Bangkok time. That is how long from now? 40 minutes.
That's in 40 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. This is breathing day, right? I mean, this is the day you become the healer. Of course you're going to breathe. Consider it a weekend breathing retreat.
Right.
So,
and also tomorrow at 3, if you are all breathed out today, tomorrow at 3 will be the exact same class.
But
not this class, the class.
You'll be using a different technique. You won't use the Soma breath. She'll be using a different breath.
Yes.
We like to change it up around here, keep you excited and give you a number of tools. So, yep, we will be back at it at top of the hour if you got a little more you want to work with. And thank you. This is a great honor and the beginning of a new beginning. And the rest of our journey is going to get more and more exciting by the day. I thank you. I'll see you next week. Talk to you on WhatsApp.